Mi nombre es Timoteo, and my pronouns are he, him, his. My name is Tim, and I am happy to serve as minister of this congregation. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Fresno, California, on this Invite a Friend Sunday. We're not going to have any guilt if you didn't invite a friend. It's all right. We love you anyways. But for those of us on our virtual campus, there is still time to invite a friend to join you in the live stream. Or those of us who are on Facebook right now, you could share this live stream with all your friends. It would make us very happy if you did that. Welcome to everybody on our virtual campus. Welcome to the rowdy crowd on our Alluvial Avenue campus. And welcome to everyone watching the service later on Facebook and YouTube, which will include Lorenzo and myself looking to see how we looked on camera. We are one congregation in many places. Our monthly worship theme for January is Finding Our Center, and if anybody does find your center, please let me know. We acknowledge that our Alluvial Avenue Church campus sits within the traditional homelands of the Yokuts people. This land acknowledgement is to honor the elders of the indigenous peoples and to confess and lament the genocide, the forceful removal and displacement of the peoples whose land and territories were stolen from them. As a Unitarian Universalist congregation, we believe that an inclusive, radical welcome is a spiritual practice. We welcome you no matter your race, culture of origin, age, spiritual background, or religious beliefs. We welcome you no matter your disabilities, the amount of money in your bank account, your level of formal education, or your neurodiversity. We welcome you if you are lesbian, gay, bi, trans, non-binary, or gender fluid. You are welcome with or without documentation. All are welcome here. Todos son bienvenidos aquí. This morning, we invite those who are on our virtual campus and want to share a joy, concern, sorrow, or gratitude as part of today's service. You can text that to us at 559-209-4977. You can also type them in the chat box, but you have to do it right now so that we have time to gather them all up, write them down, and bring them to me for that part of the service. We have kicked off a new year, obviously, but also a new semester of some extraordinary adult religious exploration programming in all kinds of areas and topics. Here to tell us about it from our virtual campus, Karen and Cheyenne.
Hey, Karen.
Hey.
I saw something about a brochure of religious exploration classes that the church provides. Can you tell me more about this?
There's 2 brochures a year, winter, spring, and summer, fall. They're full of various offerings that anyone can attend via Zoom or in person.
I think I've heard and been to a few. Are they like Tim's faith and film classes on Sundays?
We do have Tim's movie Sundays, but we also have offerings for poetry and meditation, music, and more. Do you know how to sign up?
I don't. Can you tell me how?
Of course. You can view the brochure virtually on our website or via the link in our weekly newsletter, What's New. Or you can pick up a paper copy in the breezeway.
Well, thank you for informing me of so much. This all sounds like incredible experiences.
Oh, and if you have any questions, you can always email me or give me a call at dll@uufresno.org or call me at 559-322-6146, extension 12.
Thank you. Will do.
Our commercial has now ended. May we, in the chat box or in person or just in the silence of your own precious heart, let's take a moment to say buenos dias, good morning, and greet one another. Buenos días. Wow. We have a really full Alluvial Avenue campus this morning. It's great. As we prepare to begin our service, answering the question, hopefully, what is Unitarian Universalism? Let's allow the sound of the tingsha to gently carry us to that place within us that knows that we are good and we are loved, that you are good and you are loved.
One, two, three, four.
The tide is rising, and so are we. The tide is rising, and so are we. The tide is rising, and so are we. This is where we are called to be. This is where we are called to be. The task is mighty, and so are we. The task is mighty, and so are we. The task is mighty, and so are we. This is where we are called to be. This is where we are called to be. The storm is raging, and so are we. The storm is raging, and so are we. The storm is raging, and so are we. This is where we are called to be. This is where we are called to be. The world is ready, and so are we. The world is ready, and so are we. The world is ready, and so are we. This is where we are called to be. This is where we are called to be. The tide is rising, and so are we. The tide is rising, and so are we. The tide is rising, and so are we. This is where we are called to be. This is where we are called to be. The tide is rising, and so are we. The tide is rising, and so are we. The tide is rising, and so are we. This is where we are called to be. This is where we are called to be.
Good morning, buenos días. Hola, mi nombre es Karen Polnitz y mi pronombre es ella. Good morning, my name is Karen Polnitz. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I serve gratefully as your Director of Lifelong Learning. Sirvo con gratitud como directora del aprendizaje de por vida. If you have a candle or chalice, with you on our virtual campus, please bring it close as we'll be lighting it in a moment. Today is Invite a Friend Sunday and an exploration of the question, what is Unitarian Universalism? As a child, exposed most directly to the idea of God through the eyes of the Protestant Christian Church, I enjoyed the comfort, but I had a hard time with the idea of a big guy controlling the world as if it were a dollhouse and deciding that these people who believed a certain way would get to have a pleasant afterlife, while others who didn't believe just so would have a very unpleasant afterlife. What if you were born someplace where Christianity wasn't the norm? What if your family has believed something beautiful for generations, and so you learned to believe the same? Was that your fault then, that you wouldn't enjoy heaven? My childhood ponderings led me through exploration and experimentation with various faith groups, and eventually, after seeing something on Facebook about this Unitarian Universalist church with this big yellow Black Lives Matter banner, I wound up at these doors. It didn't take long. It didn't take long for me to sigh in relief. Yes, this was the spiritual home I had been looking for, a place where the divine in multiple faith backgrounds, structures, and humanity itself was celebrated and explored, a place where I was welcome with all my questionings and ponderings of spirit, a place where I wasn't expected to pledge unquestioned allegiance to a certain statement or set of beliefs. Here, I have been given the freedom to continue my journey. The longer I am here, the more I learn. I learn about world perspectives on spirituality, finding new truths to adopt into my own understanding of the universe. And I learn about my own role in the world. The openness to lifelong learning and spiritual exploration is what continues to feed my spirit as a Unitarian Universalist, and what reignites my own flame each time I return to these sacred doors. In this spirit, I invite you to light your chalice or candle at home, while Tim lights our chalice on our Alluvial Avenue campus. In the warmth of these flames, let us rise in body or spirit and join in singing our song of praise, We Give Thanks. We will be singing call and response style. Whatever Tina sings, we'll sing back.
Feel free to follow either of us.
Oh, we give thanks, for this precious day, for all gathered here, and those far away, for this time we share, with love and care. Oh, we give thanks, for this precious day. Oh, we give thanks, for this precious day, for all gathered here, and those far away, for this time we share, and with love and care. Oh, we give thanks, for this precious day. Oh, we give thanks, for this precious day, for all gathered here, and those far away, for this time we share, with love and care. Oh, we give thanks, for this precious day.
I invite us to remain standing as we say together our mission statement. La misión de la Iglesia Unitaria Universalista de Fresno es amar inclusivamente, crecer espiritualmente, servir con gratitud y trabajar por la justicia. The mission of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Fresno is to love inclusively, grow spiritually, serve gratefully, and work for justice. Please be seated.
Hello, everyone. I want to invite any young ones or young ones in spirit who would like to join me up here on the chancel. And you can come and sit here on the floor or on the steps, whatever's comfortable for you. And Hannah and Veronica are going to be here as our helpers and teachers to make sure that we stay away from the flame. There are flame guards here. Lovely, lovely. Lovely, lovely. Welcome. I love it. What a beautiful crew. Yes, yes. So to start us off, where are we today? And yeah, what church is this? Yeah, we're at the Unitarian Universalist Church. Well, that's kind of a big word, Unitarian Universalist. So it describes the type of church that we are, right? And there are lots of types of churches and many different ways that people express faith, their beliefs, spirituality. And today we're going to explore what it means to be a Unitarian Universalist or a UU church. So I like to think about being a Unitarian Universalist with some movement, inspired by our flaming chalice. So I'm going to invite you now that you're all sitting. Well, either you can do this sitting or standing. I'm going to leave it up to you. And you're invited to join me in some flaming chalice-inspired movement. So we are UUs. We have open arms. And my friends who are not up here on the chalice can also join me. We have open arms to form a chalice that scoop up all people with love, no matter what they believe, where they come from, what they look like, what they can do, or who they are. We are Unitarians, united in our belief that all people are good and worthy, just as they are. Together, within our shared space of this great big chalice, we acknowledge that beautiful spark of individuality and creation that is within us all. We know that as we lend our own light, the flame grows bigger and bigger, shining with love to reach all the people, animals, and plants of the earth because we want to do our part to take care of the world. We are Unitarian Universalists, and we know that every creature deserves to live well and find their own spark to share with the world. So once more, we're going to make that chalice and then that big flame together. So we're going to show our arms. We are UUs. We have open arms to hold all people in love, and together we ignite a shared flame that spreads the light of justice and joy to all the world's creatures. Remember that whoever you are and whatever you discover about your unique life journey, all of who you are, with your skillfulness, your mistakes, your questions, and your learnings, all of who you are is welcome here. That's what it means to be a Unitarian Universalist. And now I believe we're going to have a special song as our friends follow Miss Hannah and Veronica out through the middle doors if you're joining us in one of our classrooms today. Thank you so much, everyone.
We
hold you in our love as you go. May your heart be at peace as you go. To nurture the spark of your precious life. We hold you in our love as you go. We hold you in our love as you go. May your heart be at peace as you go. To nurture the spark of your precious life. We hold you in our love as you go.
What an important and beautiful message to give to our kids. We hold them in our love as they go. This past May, this congregation unanimously voted to add an 8th principle to guide our Unitarian Universalist faith, one that holds us accountable to dismantling white supremacy culture and other oppressions. Can I see by show of hands how many were part of that vote when we were present for that vote, either in person or virtually? Okay, so a good number of us. Guiding us in this process is the Mosaic Makers team that is chaired by Lisa Lindsay, sitting right over there. And the team is inviting us to read the article, White Supremacy Culture by Tima Okun, and there's the place you can find it on the web. Also, here on Alluvial Avenue, we have copies of this article at our adult religious education table. And a link is being posted right now in our virtual campus. Here is church member Vicki Gavel from our virtual campus with a reflection in which Vicki acknowledges a moment when she realized she was part of white supremacy culture and how it felt.
Hi, I'm Vicki Gavel. I attended a social justice committee meeting at my predominantly white UU church. We had invited an expert on homelessness to speak about the shelter situation in our community. The speaker happened to be Black. Instead of being introduced and his expertise acknowledged, we were asked to introduce ourselves. Each person introduced themselves by giving their perceived anti-racist credentials. This was white defensiveness. It would have been very, very different if the speaker was white. I was mortified, but I did not speak up because of my fear of confrontation. I realized the extent of the pain my silence caused when I saw a young speaker at another event and apologized that he had not been acknowledged for his work and expertise and for not knowing how to make sure that he had the time to speak. He simply said, "I wish you'd had my back," and walked away. Well, now I will try to have backs.
Wow. Within that difficult reality, I invite us to take a breath in, breathing in the promise of peace. We hold a moment, we breathe out love. Yet again, we breathe in peace. We hold the moment, we breathe out love. One last time, together we breathe in peace, we hold the moment, transform it, and we breathe out love. As we continue breathing together in this sacred space where our hearts beat with our beautiful and our broken humanness, I invite your breath to carry you back over the last week, the last 7 days of your living. A question. In the last week, did you allow things that were out of your control to pull you off center? Acknowledging that in love, what positive intention would you like to carry with you into this new week? We create space in our service each week to acknowledge our humanness, to acknowledge the joys, the concerns, the sorrows, and hopefully a few gratitudes that move within our hearts and minds. Some of us stop at the small table at the entranceway to the Alluvial Avenue campus sanctuary and write them down on a small card. Others text them and put them in the chat box. And we have a lot today. We want to start by acknowledging and celebrating the Lunar New Year in East Asian, South Asian, and Southeast Asian countries and throughout the diaspora. The Year of the Rabbit is considered to hold yin energy and emphasizes the importance of rest. Today, Sunday, January 22nd, we also mark what would have been the 50th anniversary of the landmark Roe v. Wade decision, which was egregiously overturned by the U.S. Supreme Court last June. As we mark this tragic loss of Roe, we also acknowledge that it was never enough. Roe did not guarantee abortion access for all people, especially those in communities that have always faced barriers to health care due to systemic racism and discrimination. This is also somewhat as a lie for us. Christina and Jason are grateful for the doctors and healthcare team who cared for our son Charlie during his procedures, and so grateful for his joyful spirit during his recovery. Matt B. is grateful for this welcoming community that allows us to explore our spirituality free from judgment or expectation. Margaret on our virtual campus is grateful to Cheyenne for coming up to her ranch yesterday and shoveling mud out of the horse stalls. Thank you. And oh, Margaret, I know there was a lot of mud up in the foothills. We also have an anonymous gratitude. My 96-year-old uncle made it out of the hospital after the flu and is now in assisted living where he is thriving. Angelique is feeling joyful. My oldest child hits double digits, the big 10 this week. Happy early birthday, Zelda. Bernadette is celebrating that she turned 65 years on the 1st. I get Medicare now, says Bernadette. Lauren, who is just behind me on the drums, happy to have met so many wonderful women working to protect democracy at last night's Women in Action dinner. We have a joy that we are celebrating David Firth's semi-retirement today after 36 years as our church's sexton. And Deborah from our virtual campus wants to share with sorrow and joy that Sadie, my late mom's cat, crossed the Rainbow Bridge last Thursday into the land of catnip trees, fancy feast mountains, and hearty cream rivers, and into my mom's lap for endless pets and snuggles. May she be blessed forever. We also want to acknowledge the terrible news out of LA of the mass shooting in Monterey Park, California. Although details are still forthcoming, we do know that shooting happened in a primarily Asian American community. And we also want to express our horror at the taser death of unarmed black man Keenan Anderson, the cousin of Black Lives Matter founder Patrisse Cullors. We also remember our beloveds, those unable to be with us today because of illness or immobility. We lift up Cleo B., who was unexpectedly hospitalized this week and continues in hospital care. We lift up Tony E., who is back in Fresno for physical rehab after several months being up in the Bay Area. We remember Margaret H., Bev F., Edith H., William H., Glenda R., and Pat M. And so, for so much that's been expressed, but also those things that we hold in the silence and stillness of our beating hearts, we light our candle of community. We light a second candle, as is our custom. This marks the 6.8 million citizens of the world who have lost their lives in this pandemic. We also have a tradition that on the first anniversary of the passing into the mysteries of death of a church member, that we celebrate their precious and beautiful life. Today, we lift up the life of Dwayne Barker. His smile would light up the room and light up your heart. To Dwayne, no one was a stranger, just a friend he hadn't yet met. People gravitated to him because when he talked, you could see in his eyes the sparkle of genuine interest, curiosity, and caring. He made us feel like we were the most important person in the world, and in that moment, for him, we were. It is not an exaggeration to say that his life was an outpouring of love. He had a magnetic personality. He was gifted as a writer and a speaker and a bestower of endless compliments. He was beloved son, sibling, spouse, parent, grandparent, co-worker, church member, and friend. To light a candle to celebrate Dwayne's beautiful and long life, we invite his wife and partner for life's adventure, Linda, as well as his daughters, Samantha and Betsy.
Comfort me,
Dwayne would have appreciated the smile and the laugh. In the light of our three candles, let's join Tina. She's already showed us what we'll be singing. Comfort me, comfort me.
comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Consuélame, 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 oh mi alma. Consuélame, 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 oh mi alma. Speak to me, speak to me, speak to me, oh my soul. Speak to me, speak to me, speak to me, oh my soul. Háblame, 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 oh mi alma. Háblame, 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 oh mi alma. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul.
Our words of prayer or reflection come from Unitarian Universalist minister, the Reverend Teresa Soto. Reverend Soto identifies as a BIPOC individual and uses the personal pronouns they, them, theirs. They are the new minister just north of us in Oakland, California. Let us pray. To be free, you must embrace the breadth of your own existence without apology, even if they try to take it from you. You must know not that you can do whatever you want. You're not a kudzu vine eating entire hillsides for the purpose of feeding your own lush life. You must know instead that inside you are entire universes, milky blue, magenta, and gold, expanding. But to be actually free, you must know and you must struggle for the entire universes inside of everyone else. Being free is not a license, but a promise. May it be so. Blessed be. Amen. Lauren on drums, Lorenzo on Native American flutes. I love that Unitarian Universalists believe that the Spirit can speak through many sounds and voices. Early in my ministry, over 2 decades ago, I remember a visitor coming for the first time to a service in a sanctuary in Richmond, Virginia. And as part of the service, we sang Amazing Grace. I never saw that person again in our sanctuary, and probably about a year or two later, I just happened to cross paths with him at a grocery store, and I was a little more bold than maybe I normally am, and I just asked, I said, why didn't you ever come back? And they said, because when we sang Amazing Grace, and even though the lyrics were changed that saved a soul like me, that they said that that song and the lyrics of Amazing Grace, which for some of us means so much and is so beautiful, but for that person, it created religious trauma because they grew up in a tradition that told them weekly that they were a wretch that needed saving. And so I was so happy to know that there are alternative lyrics to the melody of Amazing Grace that allow everyone to sing and celebrate the beauty of being human. So acknowledging that certain words and that certain melodies and songs carry, for some of us, beautiful memories. For others of us, it carries traumatic memories. I invite us to rise in body or spirit. Join in singing, Ye Earthbound Children of a Star.
Ye earthborn children of a star, amid the depths of space, the cosmic wonder from afar, within our minds embrace. Look out with awe upon the art of countless living beings, the counterpoint of part with part, as nature's chorus sings. Beyond the wonder you have wrought within your little time, the knowledge won, the wisdom sought, the ornaments of rhyme. Seek deeper still within your souls and sense of wonder there. The ceaseless thrust to noble goals of light more free and fair. Ye earth-born children of a star, amid the depths of space, the cosmic wonder from afar, within our minds embrace.
Please be seated. Let's hear it again for Soul and Thunder. So, The challenge is this. You are in an elevator on the first floor, and there's one other person with you in that elevator. You reach out with your finger and you touch the button for the third floor, which means you have about 20 to 35 seconds as that door shuts and that elevator starts to go up to the third floor. You have 20 to 35 seconds to tell that stranger who just asked you, what is Unitarian Universalism, your answer. What is your 30-second elevator speech? What is Unitarian Universalism? Go. The Reverend Bill Sinkford, who was at the time the first black president of the Unitarian Universalist Association and also the first black religious leader of a predominantly white denomination in America, Bill Sinkford came up with his elevator speech. Now, I'm not saying that this is the perfect answer to Unitarian Universalism, but it's a good starting place. This is what Bill said. I believe in you, you believe in me, and together we believe we can help heal the world. Now that statement, 3 sentences, holds so much and reveals so much about Unitarian Universalism. Note, it doesn't start out by saying, I believe in one God, the Father Almighty, the maker of heaven and earth. It starts by saying, I believe in you. I believe in your humanity and your goodness and your potential. And wow, you believe the same thing about that in me. So it reveals that at its heart, Unitarian Universalism is a very earthbound, human-focused religion. Now, there is space for there to be a divinity. There is space for there to be God for those of us who find meaning in those words and in that reality. But we start with our precious humanness. But it's not just about us. It's just not about what we believe about each other. It's about what we believe we're called to do in the world. We believe that with our humanness, we can join together and help heal the world. Unitarian Universalism is an embodied faith. It is a faith not just of words, but at its best, at our best, we are a faith of action. I've shared that I was at a party a few years ago, and during a conversation, when somebody discovered that I was a Unitarian Universalist minister, they got a kind of wicked gleam in their eye, and with a touch of sarcasm, I would say, they asked how I define a Unitarian Universalist. I responded, Unitarian Universalists are people who believe in the transforming power of love. That love compels us to see every person as having inherent worth and dignity. It challenges us to see every person as having potential goodness within them, even as they are sarcastically asking the question and asking me to define my faith. Unitarian Universalists also believe that everyone and everything is connected. Because of this connection, we have a sacred responsibility to everyone and everything on this planet. We must work towards everyone and everything with care, concern, and compassion. Unitarian Universalists believe that we are all connected. We are stronger together than apart, that we are love's hands in the world, that we are called to create justice, and that we are responsible for each other and the earth. So where does this Unitarian Universalism come from? As I often say, one of the great misconceptions about Unitarian Universalists that it was founded in the 60s when a bunch of hippies who were wearing tie-dye and smoking pot got together and kind of said, let's create a religion where we love everybody. Now, although there were Unitarian Universalists in the 60s who wore tie-dye and smoked pot, I see some of you here today. And rumor has it that there are currently Unitarian Universalists who still wear tie-dye and still smoke pot. But that's not how and when we were created. Our Unitarian Universalist faith is an ancient faith, growing from two separate and long-standing traditions, the Unitarian tradition and the Universalist tradition. Both Unitarianism and Universalism reach back to first earth-based pagan indigenous origins, which I might add is the origin place of every major world religion. It was at one time earth-based pagan and indigenous in its orders. So we reach back that far. Then we reach back to over 2,000 years ago to Judaism. And then we reach to the teachings of Jesus of Nazareth. Our Unitarian forebears looked at Jesus as a spirit-filled human being and a great moral teacher. The early Unitarians believed he was not divine, he was a human being just like us. Rather than asking us to worship unattainable divinity, early Unitarians believed Jesus called us to become fully realized and loving human beings. Our Unitarian roots are anchored in the radical belief that human beings have within them not original sin, but original blessing. That if that blessing within us is nurtured, we have the potential to create much good in the world. We can cultivate our spiritual character. Unitarianism teaches that the world at its core is one, what Unitarian Ralph Waldo Emerson called the soul of the whole. We are one with all living things that share this earth home with us. On the other side of things, our Universalist roots are anchored in the radical belief that all human beings are worthy of love. All human beings are worthy of love. And that if there is a God, then that God is a loving God who would never condemn anyone to eternal damnation. No human wrongdoing is bigger than the universe's infinite love. Therefore, the purpose of life isn't to be fearful or obedient. The purpose of life is to be happy and fulfilled, knowing that you are loved. Universalism reminds us that the purpose of religion is to recall us to our best selves again, so that we can work together to mend our broken and our hurting world. See, we don't spend time arguing over tiny parts of religious dogma and doctrine. There are more important things to be doing. In the words of the late Reverend Dr. Forrest Church, we Unitarian Universalists have inherited a magnificent theological legacy. In a sweeping answer to creeds that divide the human family, Unitarianism teaches we spring from a common source. And Universalism proclaims that we share a common destiny. Now, this kind of thinking has been rarely popular in the world, and it has not been widely embraced. Throughout our long history, mainstream conservative Christianity has tried to silence us, or destroy us. The orthodoxy, which is based on the Greek word orthos, meaning the right way, they've always been threatened by us, for we undermine traditional institutional power and patterns of controlling people through forced religious belief. Because of this, we've been among those who were arrested, imprisoned, tortured, and burned at the stake for our commitment to think outside of ideas locked in dogma and doctrine. And I might add, we were in good company among those arrested, imprisoned, tortured, and burned at the stake, because right in there with the Unitarians and the Universalists were Jews, Muslims, Hindus, Wiccans, and powerful female nature-based mystics and healers. Throughout a long history, Unitarians and Universalists were called heretics. There we go. Which is based on a Greek word meaning those who choose. We wear the name heretic as a badge of honor, for we are the people of a chosen faith, our chosen faith. Our chosen faith tells us that the purpose of life isn't to worship God. The purpose of life isn't to earn God's salvation in a life after death. In the words of Katie Norris, our chosen faith speaks of salvation in this life through knowing you are loved just as you are and discovering who you are and your place in the universe so that you can live out your purpose in life, this life. Can you say that with me? Our chosen faith speaks of salvation in this life, knowing that you are loved just as you are and discovering who you are and your place in the universe so that you can live out your purpose in life. The Reverend Tom Owen Towell writes, "Peace, love, and joy are all central themes in Unitarian Universalism. Throughout religious history," says Reverend Owen Towell, "matters of joy, everything from being silly to pure delight, have been undervalued since Orthodox religion's been a serious, if not grim, enterprise. For some believers, the more you suffer, the more religious you are." A religious leader once said to comedian Groucho Marx, how many of us know who Groucho Marx is? Okay. So if you don't, YouTube. So this religious leader sees this great comedian, Groucho Marx, and he goes up and he says, "Groucho, I want to shake your hand for all the joy you've brought into the world." Groucho Marx responded to the religious leader, "Why, thank you. And I want to shake your hand for all the joy you've taken out of the world." Too frequently, religion has devoutly dimmed rather than lit life's spark. That's why an affirming, buoyant, and blazing faith such as Unitarian Universalism is particularly valuable in a world where organized religion all too often majors in fear, guilt, and misery. Now, let me be clear. I'm not bashing those other faith traditions. They obviously work and have meaning for many, many people. That's why they're so popular. My mom was a devout member of a conservative faith tradition, and it brought her much peace and meaning to her life, and it let her face her death with a sense of peace and anticipation, and I treasure that. And let's be really honest with each other. Clearly, our progressive religious thinking is among the most unpopular in the country. After all, Unitarian Universalism is one of the smallest, most minuscule of denominations in the country. We barely register with 2,000 congregations and maybe 175,000 official members. You do the math. Tiny, tiny, tiny. Most people have never heard of us. And if they have, what they've heard has been less than flattering. Which brings us back to our question, what is Unitarian Universalism, and the elevator speech. So I want to leave you with 4 quick takeaways. We are the faith tradition that says, don't check your brain at the door. Unitarian Universalism prizes critical thinking. It prizes your ability to reason for yourself what is true with a small t, because nothing is true with a capital T. I think Unitarian, for me personally, Unitarian Universalism is the only place I've found that is big enough to hold all of my questions, all of my doubts, all of my wonderings, and all of my answers. We believe that we need not think alike to love alike. Don't check your brain at the door. Think critically. Think for yourself. And know, as one Unitarian Universalist says, that we are a religion that will never say, I'm right, you're wrong. What is Unitarian Universalism? We are the faith tradition that says you are good and you are loved. As Unitarian Universalist Layla Ibrahim once said, it's a blessing that you were born. It's a blessing. As we often sing, how could anyone ever tell you you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your living and your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to the soul of the whole. We are the religious tradition that says your spiritual life is a journey and not a destination. Unitarian Universalism isn't about some preordained, pre-thought-out sense of what is right and true, that we are journeying to figure out how to learn and accept somebody else's definition of religion. We realize that our spiritual life is a process. If you believe at age 30 the same things that you believe at age 60, you've been asleep for 30 years, because knowledge changes. Our experiences shape us. We know more now than we did in the past. And so our spiritual life has to adapt and change and richen and deepen and become richer over time. Religious beliefs are not meant to be set in stone, but they are a beautiful unfolding mosaic of meaning. Reverend Kathleen Mateague says, Unitarian Universalism is the faith community that helps you deepen into life's questions even when there are no final answers. Last but not least, Unitarian Universalism is the faith tradition that says this life is the one that matters. This life, this is the life that matters. We are the only world religion, according to anthropologist Sidney Storey, that doesn't definitively say what happens after death. We don't tell you what will happen when you die. We each have our individual beliefs and questions and theories about that, which is one reason I love it when we say passing into the mysteries of death. But what we share is a belief that we need to make the best of this life, here and now. but not just for ourselves. This isn't just about us. It's not just about UUs, but we need to make the best of life for others. And this is where our commitment to social justice comes from. We don't offer salvation in the next life, but we believe that we are called to bring a form of salvation into this life. We believe that we must take our broken world and build a kind of heaven on earth through putting our hands together and working for justice and equity for those who are marginalized. We must prioritize the most vulnerable among us. Now, we aren't naive. The injustices and inequities, the patriarchy, the ableism, the greed, the exploitation, the environmental degradation, and the white supremacy culture have deep roots that we will not eradicate in our lifetime. But while we are here, we can do a few things to push forward the project of justice and equity for all. May it be so. Blessed be. Amen.
At this table, everyone is welcome. At this table, everyone is seen. At this table, everybody matters. No one falls between. At this table, you can say whatever. At this table, you can speak your mind. At this table, everything's forgiven. There's enough for everyone. So come as you are. Remember that the door is always open. Yes, come as you are. The perfect gift that you can bring is your heart. So come as you are. This table, mercy has a seat. At this table, we're all someone's children. There's no place I'd rather be. So come as you are. The perfect gift that you can bring is yours. table, everyone is welcome. At this table, everybody cares. At this table, everybody matters. So come, pull up a chair.
We give to remind ourselves how many gifts we have to offer. We give to remember that we are part of something bigger than ourselves. We give because we believe in music and in sacred space. We give with the faith that together we have enough. So says Unitarian Kristen Collins. In the Spirit, will you join with me in our words of offering? If not us, then who? If not open hearts, then what? If not now, then when? If not here, then where? If not generously, then how? If not us, then who? If you are on our virtual campus, perhaps this is the moment when you make a first-time contribution, your first-time contribution, so we can continue bringing these services into your home each Sunday. This slide shows the different ways that you can share. We also have baskets at the side doors for those who exit the Alluvial Ave Sanctuary, and no matter what campus you are on, you are invited right now to take out your smartphone and make a contribution using Cash App at $UU Fresno. That's $UU Fresno. May this church continue to be worthy of the many different forms of your gifts. I'm thinking of Karen's chalice arms and then the fire that burns, that spark. Some of us, the spark of divinity. Some of us, it's the spark of love or reason. And I always think of the fire as a symbol of the Big Bang that brought all of us into existence. As we prepare to extinguish our chalice and enter into our afternoon, I invite us to join our voices with Karen and Troy.
Extinguimos esta llama, pero no la luz de la verdad, el calor de comunidad o el fuego de nuestro compromiso. Estos los llevaremos en el corazón.
We
We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts.
So just a few quick reminders before we have our closing words and then we sing our sung benediction. Patty Bennett is our Member Services Coordinator and Coordinator of Community Life. If you are new or newish to the church and you would like to find out how you can get more involved and move from this being a place that you visit to a place where you feel like you belong at that table, talk to Patty. She is an expert at connection. As we exit our Alluvial Ave Sanctuary, we ask that you allow all of our socially distanced folks to exit first, and then everyone else can follow them through those side doors. So much will be happening today after the service. Coffee hour with heaters outside for a good warm time. We also have a welcome and question and answer table with one of our illustrious members of our Board of Trustees. It's a great place to go if you're new or newish and can ask some questions. Now, also after the service today, excuse me, we will be celebrating David Firth and his 36 years as our sexton as he moves into semi-retirement. And David, did you come in the sanctuary? You were supposed to come in. Oh, David, you're in the back. Would you stand up, David? 36 years. Thank you, David. Woo! Dear ones, that's what you call devoted service. We will have a celebration. We will have a champagne toast and cake, and also an opportunity if you would like to speak a few words into a microphone, appreciating David, all of that after the service. Also after the service in the sanctuary, we'll be exploring the lyrics and melodies of Leonard Cohen with Robert Mitchell, so you can also be in the sanctuary for some awesome music and exploration. Next Saturday is our campus cleanup workday. Could everybody say that? Campus cleanup workday from 8:30 a.m. to 11 a.m. This is a very simple way for those of us who want to give back to the church to show up for a half hour, for 45 minutes. You can bring the kids, you can bring just yourself, and there'll be something to do no matter what your physical ability. Coming up after our campus workday, starting the next week, will be our beloved auction, online auction, beginning February 5th through the 12th, and we still need more donations. Here is the ever-popular Laurie Titeman-Jones to tell us more about it.
Okay, everybody, you ready to start bidding now? The first item is a life-size sculpture of Tim Cutsmore. Okay, have the first bid. Okay, $50. Good. Hey, bid, $100, $1,000. Oh my gosh, go ahead.
Laurie, you're not supposed to do the auction. You're supposed to sell the auction.
Oh, my bad. Hi, everyone. I'm just here to tell you that we need auction items like yesterday. So think of anything simple, tasty, fun, whatever it is, but think of something or more than one thing and get it to auction@ufresno.org right now. Lisa Lindsay and I are donating Amazing Grace Tower District, and that sounds like a lot of fun, right? Pretty wild and crazy. So get your imaginations going and get us the ideas. The auction is February 5th to the 12th. And then you need to buy experiences and get to know people in your community. So it's fun and it's a fundraiser. Don't forget the money part. All right, bye.
Let's hear it for Laurie from our virtual campus. Last but not least, we have a tradition that we like to welcome folks who are here for the first, second, or third time, either on our virtual campus or here on our Alluvial Avenue campus. We do this not to embarrass you, but we're genuinely glad that on a day you could have done anything, you chose to be here with us. So if this is your first, second, or third time, we'd invite you to stand at this moment. We won't leave you standing alone for long, I promise. So anybody here first, second, or third time, please stand on Alluvial Ave and welcome. I invite the rest of the congregation to rise with them. If you came in a pod, you can join hands. If you are here on your own, your hands can be placed over your precious beating human heart. Our closing words are by Cynthia Landrum. We leave this gathered community, but we don't leave our connection, our concern, our care for each other. Our service to each other, to the world, and to our faith continues until we are together again, friends. Be strong, be well, be true, be loving. May it be so. Blessed be. Amen.
3.
Go from here in peace, go with love. Go from here in peace, go with love. Go from here in peace, go with love. In love. Go in peace.
Shalom.
Shalom and assalamu alaikum.
2, 3, 4.